Unit 8. Listening. Exercise 10. You are going to hear an extract from a radio phone-in program. Listen and decide if the statements are true or false.
We were all appalled at the panic and confusion caused by the volcanic eruption last year in Iceland and remember the scenes at airports all over this and other European countries when planes were grounded for days and weeks because of the danger of flying in the ash-filled skies. Today on the programme, we are talking to people who suffered in different ways at that difficult time. First on the phone, we have Martin from Kent. Hello, Martin.
Hi.
So, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, it was last March and we've been looking forward to our holiday in Spain for months. I had a lot of really important exams at school, so the holiday was sort of like a prize for finishing them, you know? Anyway, we'd heard nothing about the ash cloud. No one had listened to the news that morning. I think it must have been the first day. And when we got to the airport, everything was chaotic. The place was packed, and there were angry people everywhere. We found out pretty quickly that our flight was cancelled, and we had to go home again.
That must have been disappointing. So, did you go back the next day?
Yeah, Dad phoned the airline the next morning. It took him ages to get through, and the website had crashed, so that was no good. And they said to come on in because our flight would be leaving at midday.
I'm guessing it didn't?
No way. We got there to check in, but it was obvious that nothing was taking off. But they said we should stay because the situation could change any minute. So we stayed and stayed. We stayed that night. We slept on the floor in our coats because all the seats were full. There were so many people there, just waiting and waiting.
Why didn't you go home?
Because they said we needed to be there in case the flight left, and that they wouldn't be able to wait for people to come from their homes. That was rubbish. I don't think they knew what they were talking about. We ended up spending 2 nights at the airport. It was an absolute nightmare. I saw later on TV that some airports in France and Germany had the same problem, but they provided camp beds for the people who were waiting. We had the hard floor. And, to top it all, they turned off the heating after midnight, and everyone froze. We were really fed up. But there were a lot of families and couples who were worse off than us. I felt so sorry for the families with small kids, and also there were lots of elderly people there too. It can't have been easy for them.
So, what do you think about the way the airline dealt with the problem?
They didn't. They didn't deal with the problem, I mean. We got no information at all. Not knowing anything was the worst part. No one could tell us what was happening or what was going to happen.
I imagine the airlines couldn't make any decisions because planes weren't allowed to fly. They couldn't do anything about it, could they?
True, but there was no communication at all. The staff knew less than we did. They should have sent everyone home, I think.
And what about your holiday?
We never got there. When we got to the 3rd day, Dad cancelled the whole thing because it wasn't worth going all that way for 2 or 3 days, and he had to get back to work the following Monday. We got compensation from the airline, so maybe later in the year we'll try again. As long as there isn't another eruption, which is actually on the cards, isn't it?